What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. So really appreciate you stopping by the channel today. Hope you're having a great day. Now, if we have a look at what's going on, we are seeing a little bit of a mix in the markets right now. So yesterday when I made my video, it was a $108 billion market cap. I'll give it a quick refresh live. Okay, so we had a little bit of a fall down to 104, and then we popped back up again, kind of finding ourselves exactly where we were yesterday. In fact, not even kidding, literally just refresh live, Bitcoin is sitting at a 0.00% increase. So literally it's like nothing really happened, guys. If we have a look at the biggest gainers of the day, we are noticing we have Loom Network, Factum, Eternity, Omisego, Tezos, Decentraland, Metaverse ETP, Ravane, and Quark Chain. Now the question is, why are we seeing some of these up in the top? Well, this comes from an announcement from Coinbase. You guys, I'm sure, have already heard this, but if you haven't, they said that they're looking to list up to 90% of crypto assets, but they're currently looking at these 30 right now. So obviously, adding new assets requires significant exploratory work from both a technical and compliance standpoint, and they say that they cannot guarantee that all the assets that they're evaluating will ultimately be listed. Furthermore, their listing process may result in some of these assets being listed solely for customers to buy and sell without the ability to send or receive using a local wallet. Now, people have their opinions on this, okay? A lot of the community's coming forward and they all have things to say. So this person on Reddit says, so Coinbase completely ignores its own digital asset framework while listing 24 shitcoins. So what's the point of creating this BS legal document in the first place? And here's an excerpt right here, which I will drop below. And then going back to other things, you notice that Pierre Ricard, for example, he says, okay, so this is the Coinbase strategy. 1, try to control Bitcoin, fail, get salty. 2, try to flip in Bitcoin with ETH, fail. 3, try to flip in Bitcoin with Bitcoin Cash, fail. 4, try to flip in Bitcoin with a portfolio of trashy, illiquid digital assets. Keep trying, you salty valley crypto bros. And honestly, you also have Gabor Gurbax chiming in, and he says, Coinbase shitcoin's okay for millions of retail investors. Bitcoin ETF for institutional investors, too crazy. What effing parallel universe is this, right? So going back, guys, obviously, this is what I think. I think that everybody's just jealous of the fact that Coinbase has officially, or at least they're working towards, trademarking BUIDL. No, I'm totally kidding. That's obviously not the reason. But actually, funny so, they actually said that the reason they're doing this is to prevent others in the community from using it themselves. They say they're doing it for the good of crypto, and they want to give it back to the community once it's done. They said there's no real need to trademark this from the company's perspective, but they want to protect it from other companies that might decide to trademark it. Sure. Okay. But as Mark Brown points out, you see, we've already had Civic, District 0x, Loom Network, and Decentraland, and these two are both up today as well. So I'm not trying to say where to put your money, not financial advice. Don't listen to me. I'm just a guy on the internet. But I have a hunch that if there were to be any coins that may potentially have the ability to pump in this treacherous bear market, it could be these guys due to possible speculation. One that kind of caught me off guard was Bread Wallet. That one was really a shock right there. I'd be interested to see that one get listed. But anyway, guys, moving on, the reason that we're all here today is to look at this very chart, which is not actually the current chart. I just want to show you guys how history does tend to somewhat repeat itself. So yes, this is all the way back in 2013. I like to remind us every so often where we've been. However, currently, this is where we're going, way down here. Now, obviously, guys, I just wanted to point a few key different levels here. Now, you can go on a bunch of different TA channels. Everyone has their own opinion. I'm not a professional, but what I am saying here is we had this crazy 6,000 that we broke through. Okay, this support right here is gone, guys. So now we've fallen down to right around this area, okay? There's a few other levels now going way, way, way back here. You see we have around the 3,000, which everyone's been talking about. Down here, it was between the $2,200 and $2,500 range. We had a lot of support. And then going even further down to the treacherous $1,600, $1,700 mark. These are all possibilities moving forward. But guys, I'm not a professional, so don't listen to me. This is just what the charts say. Now, having a look back at some of the historical corrections, I always like to revisit these, not saying that history will repeat itself, but it helps you to understand where we're at. You can look at these. Now, one thing that's pretty crazy is we're coming up to the all-time high. It's just 11 days until we get to the original all-time high last year in December. So, that means that at this rate, we will have been in a bear market for 365 days or an entire year. Now, up until that point, the longest days of a correction was 411 straight down, and this was an 87% loss between November 2013 and January 2015, okay? Now, an 87% loss. If we currently look at where we are right now in Coin Paprika, you can see it right above my head right here. Actually, let me give it a quick refresh live because yeah, okay, so Bitcoin right here is only down 79%. So, you know, we still could have more of a percentage down to go if you're going to look at what's happened in the past as well. Now, I know a lot of people always bring up this chart. I'm not going to bore you guys with the same chart of the Wall Street, cheat sheet psychology. But I do wonder, where are we? Because a lot of people are like, oh, you know, we're down here, or we're in the anger or denial or whatever. I mean, personally, guys, I was looking at this one. I like this one because I had a little bit more in depth over at Seeking Alpha. And you could see right here, you know, now I have to sell some, damn those margin clerks, panic, capitulation, right? F it. The market is rigged. Never again. Anger. Who can I sue? This clearly isn't my fault. Well, we're seeing anger right now. We're seeing people get angry. So I question if we're down in this area. So what is capitulation anyway? What is the definition of capitulation?
Capitulation is when investors give up any previous gains in any security or market by selling their positions during periods of declines. Capitulation can happen at any time, but typically happens during high-volume trading and extended declines for securities. A market correction or bear market often leads investors to capitulate or panic sell. The term is derived from a military term which refers to surrender.
So if that's not capitulation, guys, I don't know what the heck is. I mean, by definition, we're not even bouncing back here. Like, as you could see up here, when we fell from, 74 all the way down to this, 6,100, we had a bounce and we chilled out for a while. I mean, we kind of stayed, stable and did our thing. I mean, this literally just fell, had this little mini pump and just fell back again. And we're not seeing any signs of springing back whatsoever. So when I look back at this chart, I think that we may potentially be past the capitulation stage. However, that is just my personal opinion. Now, let's talk about the negative sentiment, right? Because it's all doom and gloom. So Bitcoin is a dead man walking whose price will eventually plunge to zero. That's the dire prediction of Peter Malik, the president and chief investment officer of Creative Planning Incorporated, a Kansas investment firm that manages $32 billion in assets. So he says that the current bear market is proof that the end is near, even though this is like technically our fourth bear market, but I'll let that one slide. He says, I think the bottom for Bitcoin is zero, and that's where it's headed. Despite his distaste for Bitcoin, however, he has noted that blockchain is a revolutionary technology that will fundamentally change how industries do business, from traditional banking to supply chain management. So there you guys go. Bitcoin has died yet again, so we can add that to the official Bitcoin obituaries. We're up to 329 times that Bitcoin has died, and yet it's still here. And yet it's still here, guys. Scrolling down a little bit further, what are his fundamental flaws? Well, crypto transactions are purely speculative. Regulation will eventually stifle Bitcoin. Bitcoin won't stand the test of time. Interestingly enough, you have Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey, who predicts that Bitcoin will likely displace all other currencies to emerge as one global currency. Now, that might be kind of pushing the envelope just a little bit, but the interesting thing that I wanted to point out is that a lot of people are saying Bitcoin's going to zero, Bitcoin's dead, this and that. I'm not talking about altcoins, okay? Some of these projects, very speculative, might not survive. Maybe the tokens are securities, might not be a use case. However, Bitcoin's fundamentals are without a doubt stronger than they were 12 months ago. I mean, just look at this Lightning Network graph, for example, and how that's been coming along. You don't see these guys slowing down. In fact, Bitcoin has survived its 10th year. And if we look at things like our good old friend, the Lindy chart, okay, basically this says the longer something has survived, the better chance that it will survive even longer. And if you look at this, we're really not that high up, guys. We are very, very early, okay? The other thing I wanted to point out was that if you look at the Bitcoin forks, we've had Bitcoin Cash that forked and then Bitcoin Cash forked again. Bitcoin still survived. Institutional custody solutions for crypto assets are being developed by a bunch of different companies, including security firm G4S. You have Fidelity, NASDAQ, backed. I know they're trying for that damn ETF, but that one we may not be getting, guys. And, you know, also, like I said, look at these secondary solutions like the Lightning Network. In fact, it reminds me of what Mark Moss said when we were having our discussion, and he was talking about, you know, gold or cash. And, you know, he says that the actual underlying asset doesn't have to be fast. And that's where people are confused. Like, say I have money in a bank and I wanted to give my money directly to you. Well, how do I do that? Oh, well, you could PayPal it or Venmo it, right? Well, I could do that, but what is that? Well, then they're actually tapping into your card who's tapping into your bank. So that would make it like a third layer, right? Or else if I had to actually give you the cash, I'd have to drive to my bank, go, get the money out in cash, then drive to wherever you are, and then put that money in your hands, okay? So people saying that Bitcoin is too slow, it's too clunky, yeah, so's gold. You know what I'm saying? So what do these guys have, these gold bugs out there? Well, they have their gold debit card. Why? Because paying in gold is ridiculous. Shaving it off on the counter, remelting it back, right? That's not realistic, okay? So for people to put, you know, Bitcoin in the same category as things like Visa and MasterCard and stuff like that, don't forget that Visa and MasterCard are second, third, whatever layer solutions to the underlying assets themselves, which in most cases is your dollars sitting in a bank account. So I just wanted to point that out as well. Now, there was a Bloomberg Crypto Summit that happened yesterday. There were a few people there. I want to talk about some of the things that were said. So you have James Bevan, Chief Investment Officer at CCLA Investment Management. And he goes on to say, I don't regard this as an existential crisis. I just regard it as a bump in the road. And institutional investors have had plenty of bumps in the road in conventional currencies and transaction systems. I'm not even going to go into the dot-com bubble because really that's just a played out example. But at this point, it's true. And whenever you look at all of these crashes that have happened on Bitcoin in the past and you zoom out to the chart now, I mean, they're like little tiny little bumps. You can't even see them on the chart anymore. So I also wanted to just reiterate Angel Vercetti, the CEO of Ambrosis. Now, we had spoken earlier about some of these statements, and, you know, basically the same things were echoed through the sentiment as far as cryptocurrencies. You know, while many people are criticizing them for being a dot-com-esque bubble, this is far from the case. In fact, he doesn't believe that we are or were anywhere close to a bubble whatsoever. He added that the arrival of hotshot institutional players, who he dubbed bankers and financiers, indicate that the industry is first bona fide bubble is still very, very far away and on the horizon rather than currently being in the present. And this is attributing a figure to his call for an eventual bubble that he says probably would be closer to 15 to 20 trillion. You know, not to forget the internet boom, depending on who you ask, was somewhere between, I don't know, 6.5 trillion to somewhere in 7 trillion. Whereas crypto, you know, we were only just kind of trying to break through that $900 billion mark. Crypto's never even seen $1 trillion market cap yet. So that's just something to point out as well. Now, yeah, the Lindy chart, we already talked about this, but now that we are here again, I just want to point out, I mean, you have all these other things: greater acceptability, better price stability, widespread medium of exchange, convenience, right? It's not that convenient. You know, you want to send somebody Ethereum, you got to get your ledger, plug it out, do this, right? I mean, granted, there are solutions coming out, but right now, it's still a little difficult for the average person. So getting back to just an average, everyday Joe that's been around the block, OG, right? He says, chill out and enjoy the development that's happening during these bear markets. I've watched Bitcoin go from $60 to $1,200, back down to $200. The markets are cyclical. It will likely last years before the next hype train. And if you stay in crypto, I urge you to learn as much of how it works. And, you know, that's really what you need to do, is educate yourself, guys. So education is very, very important. And yeah, this could last a lot longer than we'd like to admit. I mean, we could unfortunately be in this bear market for years. Are you okay with that? Are you comfortable with that? You know, like my strategy right now is just dollar cost averaging. You know, I go a little harder than most people, but don't do what I do. For the average individual, you know, if you do want to still invest, not financial advice, but just peel off a little bit, maybe 10% of your check, something that you wouldn't even care if you lost anyway. And I think the best strategy is to actually go about it and imagine that you are going to lose it, right? And then you also have Binance saying, while there are some people who are uncertain about the future of the industry, I'm very certain that we're here to stay. You could read, you can go in, and this was an interview actually over at Forbes Asia. You know, obviously though, coming from exchanges, they make money either way, right? Panic selling, they make money. FOMOing, they make money. So that's a little bit of a different story. But, you know, looking at what is happening, you know, all this is happening, but yet we still have all of these developments. For example, KFC restaurants in Venezuela are going to begin accepting payments in Dash next week, creating yet another opportunity for citizens to use digital currency. As you can see right here, KFC is joining a growing list of other companies in Venezuela accepting Dash, including Subway, Papa John's Pizza, and Tracky, the country's largest department store, which is basically like their version of Walmart, right? But I get it. Why should you care? I don't live in Venezuela, right? Maybe you're from the US or the UK or Australia or something. Well, these things are coming close to home too. Australia's coastal city of Fremantle has kicked off a trial that will allow some residents to trade solar power on a blockchain-based platform provided by renewable energy-focused crypto startup POWR. And POWR just recently won that award with Richard Branson as well. And not to mention, this comes less than a month since POWR had made a foray in the biggest wholesale electricity market in the United States by inking a deal with energy supplier American PowerNet. The deal alleged POWR to deploy its, it allowed POWR to deploy its blockchain-based peer-to-peer renewable energy trading platform at the electricity provider's headquarters in the state of Pennsylvania. So if that's not close enough to home for all my American viewers, how can we sit here and say that progress isn't being made, right? It is, certainly. And here's something. You have Gazprombank, the Russian bank Swiss division. It said it's been working along Avaloq and Medico to implement a crypto asset service that will allow its customers to deal in cryptocurrencies without the hassle of managing wallets or passwords. So they can buy, they can sell, they can transfer, and they won't have to worry about holding their own private keys, which I know that's the whole point of it. But let's be real. Some people don't want that responsibility. They just don't. In fact, most people don't. Most people don't want any more responsibility than they already have, literally. And some people consider that responsibility to be too much. So moving on, also we got this. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm looking at either, but essentially this is from Charles Hoskinson. I'm going to break it down for you. So basically 1.4 is almost out. Testnet has been released. Russ Cardano is making epic progress. The Haskell rewrite is underway. Plutus Fest in a few days, Emergo is growing, and the foundation will soon reawaken from its long slumber. So there you guys go, Cardano, okay? You have these different projects making waves. And also, yeah, some people are worried about SEC regulation, but the thing is that it's going to get regulated either way, okay? We don't have a choice. And let's be real. Although the few of us sitting on this side of the fence want this to be a perfectly decentralized utopia, 95, if not more percent of the people out there right now are horrified to get involved in something that isn't regulated. I'll tell you that right now. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to people at your job, right? People don't want to get involved in this stuff. It's scary. They don't know the legalities about it. So you have another ICO getting, they had to pay $50,000. They raised $600,000 and, you know, there was a security and all that same stuff. So that came out, guys.
Another one.
So before we go, I just wanted to say there's a lot going on. There's a lot of BUIDLing happening, okay? People are working on stuff. And yeah, price sucks, but what are you going to do, guys? That being said, I found two things that were kind of cool before we go. One is allcryptowhitepapers.com. So if you ever need to read a white paper, because I know that's something that you just totally want to do on your free time, you can go over to white paper overview, and they literally have them all in here completely alphabetically listed. I mean, it's crazy. crazy. You can literally just see every white paper basically ever. And also, I wanted to just say that somebody came out with this video game called Crypto Crisis. And what I think is so funny about this game, want to be a Bitcoin millionaire? So basically what you do is it's like simulated mining. Doesn't really look that exciting, but it's kind of cool. I mean, I could see some people liking this. It's like the SimCity of building mining rigs, I guess. So that's pretty funny, guys. And before we go, I want to say no one knows where we're going. No one knows where the bottom is. We can all throw darts. We can all guess. In reality, you have to do what you are most comfortable with. You do not have to buy crypto every single weekend. No one's making you do this. And if it's something that interests you, just be a little more risk adverse, you know, like only put a small amount in, something that you wouldn't even mind if it got lost, that, you know? So that being said, guys, I'm very positive about the space. That's enough for me today for this video. I've gone long enough. I'm trying to keep them a little shorter. I know the videos were getting really long the past couple weeks, so I'm listening, guys. I'm listening. That being said, guys, you got 3 options. Panic sell, hold, or panic hold. I don't know. Or you could trade. You know, you could just day trade. That you could do. But before we go, guys, I just wanted to say one thing. The Blockchain Brief newsletter, part 2 has come out, although I kind of think of it more as a magazine. But the one thing that I wanted to let you guys know is that we do have 12 days left for the Cold LAR giveaway. It's a cold wallet, $620 value, 367 entries so far. And yeah, so thank you for everybody that's entered. But like I said, 12 days left for that. If you guys are interested, obviously I leave all the links in the description. And that being said, guys, I want to say thank you so much for coming back to my channel. Everyone that's been liking, subscribing, commenting, you guys are freaking awesome. If you're new to the channel and you like daily updates of cryptocurrency, I literally do news every single day. In fact, I started doing it on Sundays too, just because why the heck not? You know, what else am I going to do with my time? So that being said, guys, I love you. Thank you so much. Everyone that's been liking, subscribing, commenting, you guys freaking rule. You know, everyone that's been joining my Telegram group below, really great group of people. And yeah, that being said, guys, that's it. I'm out. So my name's K-Dub. This is Crypto Zombie. Until next time, stay crypto and peace out.